Are we allowed to mention Christmas?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a Christmas one, isn't it?
Christmas special. We're already.
Yeah.
Aren't we? Back, aren't we?
Yeah.
Good morning.
We've got no headphones on, have we?
No headphones on.
We're going a bit like we're trying something different this time, aren't we?
New tech.
New tech. So this week we've got through another year.
I know, it's amazing, isn't
You've survived with me, and I've survived with you.
Don't know how. Don't know how.
What do you mean?
It's been a busy year. It's been a great year, hasn't it?
Yeah, great year. Great year.
So I like to think at this time, because we're starting to plan out, what's happening next. I think that's one of your taglines in here. What's next program? Is that what you have?
Yeah. What's next program? So I'm doing that now with other companies. What next? Because people go out and deliver training, but then they ask me what's next. So I've developed a program called What's Next. So yeah, we're implementing that for 2023.
And I'm looking at 10 pieces of technology that I think are going to just revolutionise how we live, work and play. Because I'm always thinking about the future.
You certainly are.
And I want to discuss these technologies because you've been using them probably without you even knowing. Annie Dean?
Yeah, it certainly has.
And I've been putting something together. So I've been putting some videos together and a bit of content together for our customers. I like to send a report out of 10 sort of technology trends that I think are going to shape the world and change the world. So I thought, why don't we today? Because it's Christmas. We need to start planning, don't we, for next year? We need to wind down. Yep. I thought we can have a little review of the year gone.
Yep.
And look at what's coming ahead with these 10 pieces of technology and just see how they fit in, because we're all using them, all of us. So I'm going to jump in first. So AI, right? So artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you know what AI is, Paul?
I certainly do, because I watched you do a presentation not so long back about it, and it blew my mind. I've never used it, and I know it's about using, and is it them, because I'm showing how much technology brain I've got, them little robots and stuff, and doing things for us.
You say you haven't used it, but have you had a Siri?
Yeah.
Have you ever used Siri? Have you ever asked your phone to set an alarm for you?
No.
Never done it?
I've never used Siri, tell you the truth.
Never used Siri?
I know of it, but I've never used it.
You ever used Siri?
Yeah, I use it every day.
Right, so give me some examples how you use it.
I always ask Siri what time it is. Sometimes in the morning I'm looking for my phone. I shout, "Hey Siri," wait for the noise to come and tell me where it is. I use it daily. Calendar appointments, phone calls, texts.
Reminders.
Yeah.
Send a text message.
I hardly pick up my phone now. I tell Siri to do it all.
Yeah.
And again, through your smart... Yes, so through your smart devices, you've got Apple Watch, haven't you, as well?
Yep.
So you can go, "Hey Siri, remind me to do this, remind me to do that. Hey Siri, when I get home, send a reminder," so you can do location-based reminders. So artificial intelligence isn't just like bots like I've been showing you.
Yeah.
It can be used in a whole array. You'll notice it when you're writing an email.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. Siri's talking to us already. On cue.
On cue.
On cue. Siri, there's nothing wrong. We're fine that way. But what I'm saying on that is you're using artificial intelligence all the time. So when you write an email or a text message and it comes up and predicts what the next word is.
That's artificial intelligence.
Yeah. So that's AI trying to think for you and predict what's going to happen next.
I like it.
I like it. So, for example, we're using it on the podcast now. This little camera here, little meeting owl, it's connected to the internet. Now, traditionally, we need to have multiple cameras, which we have today. We've got a couple of different camera angles. I'm trying some new tech today. But for convenience for us over the last couple of years, we've had this one piece of tech, connects to the internet, 3 separate cameras on it, like you can see on there, and it tracks us and chops it all up together, whereas traditionally that'd be 3 different cameras. We have to edit it all, but artificial intelligence is tracking us, predicting what them camera angles look like.
Amazing.
Which is incredible, isn't it? Yeah. So it's around us all the time. And you got any other examples of it? It's in emails, it's all over the place, isn't it?
Virtual
assistant.
Yeah,
we've called it
Amy.
Amy.
AI. It's spelled with AI.
Yeah.
You get what I've done with that?
Yeah. We'll have to show Paul after this. I don't think he's seen it, but you wouldn't. I don't think you wouldn't actually want a real person. But rather than us standing in front of a camera and recording a script to push out to our customers to tell them how to use an IT support app, we've got like a virtual.
No, so I've seen it.
I've seen it.
Yeah, he showed me it.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's AI.
Yeah.
But again, think of what I always like to think about this and why I say this, people need to understand it and how they can use it in their business. So let's take that piece of AI. We've used it for internal training videos. We've used it to share a company message. Now, traditionally, Like in this business, Scott don't want to get on camera and don't want to do any of these podcasts because he likes to just be in a cupboard, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
He's
yeah.
promised us 2023 he's coming out of the cupboard.
Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, so we'll see. And he's going to join us a bit more in here. But the point I'm making, though, is traditionally, Dino, and we were talking about culture, we talk about every day, but traditionally, IT technicians don't like to get on the phone and talk, don't like to most people don't like getting on video, do they? And let's talk about that a bit more in terms of our human fears. We want to be in the crowd, don't we? We don't want to stand out from the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember you asking me to learn how to public speak, didn't you?
Yes.
But what did you have to go through to be able to public speak?
I had to do it. But I had to go through fear. And I probably went through it a different way than normal people did. Yeah, going through fear. Now, I always say to people, especially doing stuff, I can speak in front of 600 now as long as I know what I'm talking about, and it doesn't bother me at all now. But I struggle maybe handing a leaflet out to one person, and people can't believe that. But yeah, public speaking now comes second nature to me. I'm probably not the best in the world, but it doesn't bother me doing it now.
You've forgotten. Same yourself, you used to struggle as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I do presentations for clients, and
you feel sick before he does them.
Honestly, I remember the first one I did. It was just the build up to it for the week before was horrendous. But now, I won't say it's second nature, but I actually enjoy it. I know you'll give me some good tips on that because I asked you a few times now, how do you do it? What's your one thing that, give me one piece of advice that I can take away from when I'm going to present? What
do you
I
still
need
use
to do?
it?
I do.
What was it? What was that advice?
So Paul's told me, if you mess up, there's only you that knows. Just carry on.
Yeah, and Leon said that to me.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm just passing it on.
And it works. It works. But yeah, it's like, back to the AI thing, we're not using it to replace us as such, to do certain tasks, as we are front-facing, customer-focused, and we like to be people more than we do robots as such, don't we?
Yeah, but I like it this way. I put it this way. So human nature is we don't want to public speak. We don't want to stand up in front of a crowd. So let alone stand in front of a video. Me and you've done videos through the pandemic, weren't we, when we weren't able to get out in front of people. So we had no option but to set up a green screen and start recording. I look back at them early videos. We're awful, right?
Yeah.
But we're still using them videos to train our customers because at the end of the day, it's still a message that needs to go out there.
Yeah.
Now, they can always look better. And we look back and they could be more polished, different camera angles. But for me, why I think AI and business, anyone listening, and it's not just business, it's people in the jobs as well, don't be scared of AI because it can enhance what you do. And I like it this way, like, how important is it for people to share ideas?
Massively.
Yeah.
If you can't communicate and you can't collaborate and you can't share ideas, how tragic is that? And I think what AI does is it gives people who aren't maybe confident the ability to craft a script, put some detail into it, and actually share their message through AI, through an avatar. We see that happening more through gaming and online. We've seen it through the metaverse and all things like areas like that. So all of a sudden, it gives the metaverse, Paul, just so you understand what this is. I'll explain to you on this. Is the metaverse is a virtual reality world where you can have an avatar, and they're using it to have virtual meetings, so you can have a full avatar in 3D. So because the challenge is when you meet you've done training online, haven't you? Yeah, and delivered it online.
Yep.
And this is what's next coming for you, right?
Yeah.
You started thinking where we're going. But what's your biggest frustration of doing training online to in person?
I don't believe you get the interaction that you get from face-to-face interaction with people when you're delivering online. I think you get to know the room more, you get a feeling of the room more, whereas sometimes if you're delivering online, sometimes people might not want to put the camera on, or they have to turn the camera off because their internet is not as good. So I just found face-to-face a lot more, because you get a feel of the room and you get better responses and better feedback.
Yeah, and ultimately, online's good. Video's better than the phone.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can see people, but the challenge is you sometimes might have a little bit of an audio delay, which is the most annoying in the world. Sometimes it can happen. Or the other one is, like right now, we can read body language. We can see what...
Exactly.
You got it?
Yeah.
You can wait to speak. You're not interrupting. So you lose a huge... They reckon 95% of human communication is through body language.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we lose that. So what you got to think about the metaverse, right, is not only does it bring that video part, but it tracks your facial expressions, it tracks your body languages. So when you're presenting, all of a sudden, or talking, people can read your body language in unique ways. Now, there is other sides to it, another darker way, which I've already been seeing and mapping. I've been thinking about this. Sounds great that you can map your emotions and you can see that. But one of the scary things is, and this is with the Facebook metaverse, and this is why I think that'll never fully take off, is you imagine they want to advertise to you. So if they can read your emotions when they're showing you an advertisement, whether you're interested or not, what are the connotations and the future of that? So that's why we've got to protect everything we've got to look at its deep-rooted need and how we use it. But ultimately, on the face of it, for certain tools, I think it could be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I do. Looking, especially when I saw your demonstration, what you did, when you showed me the other month, it was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. So
I couldn't tell.
So AI is going to revolutionise everything what we're doing. So people need to be looking at that. Also, so I'm going to set you a little bit of a challenge to start using Siri a bit more.
Yes.
Location-based reminders, things like that. So a good example is I've got a productivity course coming out. I'm just giving it a quick plug now. It'll be out as this podcast comes out. But the productivity course is how can we be more productive? You've seen the way I use my journal and things like that. But I'm doing a course around how you can use AI to fuel your reminders. So things like when I get out of the car or move in the car, AI can understand if you're in the car, if you're getting out of the car, and it can send you a reminder. So think of it like you might put your dry cleaning in the car. And when you get in the car, you need a reminder to take your dry cleaning because you sometimes just forget it's in the boot. AI is able to pop up and give you a reminder as you get into the car, things like that. So it is incredible the way it's going to work. Another good use case for it as well is for people taking medication. Because people can't, don't forget, don't they? So it can remind you. But also you can even take photographs now where it can see what the tablet is and it'll also automatically categorise what tablet it was you took. So you can track that within your time, which is just amazing.
Awesome.
It's amazing. AI, next I'm going to push is process automation. So you might think, what on earth is it? So process automation, do you want to talk about that? How that's working and how that's changing?
We're using it in this business and for clients. An example, I think we touched on this on one of the podcasts, but we've got a client that has a step. It takes them about an hour to fill in a certain amount of forms, what they need. If a client inquires about their services, they have to fill in so many forms. Once they've done that, our customer then has to fill in a number of forms, but it takes them an hour to do it. We've got some technology and some software that we use, and we created an automated process. So instead of filling in 10 forms, which takes them an hour, they now fill in one. And then once they've filled that one form in, it goes off and does a lot of calculations in the background and automatically fills in forms. They did look at getting a member of staff in to do that task for them. We managed to do it with a piece of technology.
And how long does it take them now?
A couple of minutes. But also as well, so when we start talking about automation, it's not always about just slowly getting rid of staff. It's about getting rid of what I class as, you can add people who can add more value into the business in other ways rather than doing them repetitive, boring tasks. And also what I like to think of it as is it also can make your workspace better, because you imagine if you're doing repetitive, boring tasks all the time, people get bored and mundane. We've just developed a piece of software that we developed for the pandemic when we was going to businesses under the local authority and helping them under the Grow My SME scheme to how could they use technology better? Because people traditionally, not just businesses, but people are rubbish at technology at times because they think I can't do it, I'm not interested in it. But the pandemic showed that when we challenge, we can use technology. Or a product of it. How much technology do you use?
None. It was very little. It was.
So you think?
It was very little before the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I used very little technology, and it was only with the help of you guys that I use quite a lot of technology now. Even the other day, I was doing something in a company and they was going, "Oh, how do you do that?" And I was like, I pretended I knew what I was doing.
But that's the thing with you, though. It's like you think you're very limited in your skills and that you don't. We know you use tech a lot, but if we was to break down what you do on a daily basis with technology, you're way ahead of most people.
Yep, it's only with help of you guys that I've been able to do it.
Yeah. You've embraced it, haven't you?
Yeah, I've embraced it, and we've delivered globally through it.
Yeah, all the well. So again, it has the power to do all sorts of stuff. So process automation, like I was saying, we developed an account management tool that used to take me about a day and a half at times to write up reports on certain areas. And what I started to realise was there was a commonality. We did about 70 of these reports, and there was a commonality of different scenarios people wanted help around, and different solutions. And I'm repeating myself writing these reports, so a bit of a challenge. So I was able to automate that. Also, because I'm a huge fan of benchmarking, we want to benchmark what's good for one company and what's the return on investment. We want to know that is the approval method, what's someone else spending on their IT, what's their productivity per employee. So he's able to plug it into company's house and use automation to drag out a load of financial information from different companies. And in company's house, you have something called a SIC code. And a SIC code is like you'll have one in your business, but it's a code that categorizes your business with similar businesses.
Right.
So you might be let's say you're a manufacturer and you might make rubber soles for shoes. You can have a SIC code that can define you to that level. So
Right.
then you can go onto company's house and you can pull that data out through an API, and you can say, I want to know every rubber manufacturer within 50-mile radius of here, what are they spending on there? How many people have they got? How many things have they got? And you can
Right.
pull that data from different areas. So that piece of work used to take me, can you imagine, a long time. We've been able to develop an app where we can automate that with just a few clicks of a button. So it's thinking about that. And then what does that allow me to do? Rather than spend that admin time writing them reports up, it means we can lower our cost for the product so it can make it more accessible. And also my time can be spent actually discussing the report and actually using that report to drive change in the business. So process automation is massive. It's absolutely massive. But I want people to be thinking about smaller things. Back to process automation, you might have to go shopping. You might have to do. So what you're going to start seeing with AI now, we're going to start seeing where you can do this now. You can say order off Amazon straight away, just off your phone. You can say order this and collect this just through a voice. You can, and you're starting to see it now with Google Assistant. Might want a haircut, you can ask Google Assistant to ring up and book you an haircut, ring up and do it. You can book your dog in for grooming, and you're going to start seeing, again with this process automation and AI, things like when you come to get car insurance, we're all going to have digital assistants where you can say, I need car insurance, my budget is this, here's my spec, and then send your AI assistant to go get your prices for your car insurance, and that's available to do right this second. So my challenge to anyone listening is businesses need to be getting prepared for that and having systems that can accept them requests, and anybody listening to it needs to be looking at how can they save more time so they can spend more time with their family when they're not having to look out for insurance and things like that. Yeah. So I think it's a really exciting time. The next one is I'm going to talk about is it's great having all this AI, it's great having all this process automation, and the third one is zero trust. And what do I mean by zero trust? I can see you nodding there, Dean.
We don't trust anyone. We don't trust anyone or anything.
From a security point of view.
From a security perspective, yeah.
Because all this AI is great, but it's also getting used by cyber criminals. So they're putting mass attacks onto people's usernames and passwords. There's a whole array of ways people are hacking others using AI, these same tools against us. So the new trail of thought is what we're saying is we don't trust anyone. Zero trust. Do you want to explain that a bit more? Do you want me to jump in?
Yeah, I mean, we're using it in the business. You probably don't see this side of it, but this is more for Paul. We've got, do you know, we get phone calls from customers all day, every day when you're in the office. We know who we're talking to at the other end of the phone. We know if it's, I don't know, John from wherever. We build up that relationship with customers and we know them voices. But now what we're having to do is, because of this technology Leon's talking about, is the voices could be mimicked.
You see the video of me where it's not me talking?
Yeah, and it sounded like you.
You wouldn't know.
What makes it worse is the security team have got some AI getting trained at the moment where it's going to be a video of me as well. How scary is that? Right? So anything you online or social media of me saying anything on video, and this is just my disclaimer now, it might not be me, so don't believe it. It might not be me. We never know. we never know.
Yeah, so what we're doing on the back of that, we've got, if they do call, we know it's them on the phone, but we've got to double check and make sure it is them. So we're not trusting that their voice is them. We just do a simple thing where we've got a piece of technology on their machine and it will send a PIN code straight to their device. It'll pop up on the screen and we just say, right, John, if you sat in front of your machine, you'll get a code pop up. They read that code back, we can verify it's them.
And that, again, but we're using technology to do that. And again, you can talk about that process automation as well. So we can use that technology to drive that. But other things, unique passwords.
That must be great for your clients, though, knowing that there's that security that you've put in place to actually make sure it is there.
But I think we have to be ahead of the game like that. Yeah. We have to be. We can't be saying that we're cybersecurity first if we're not doing the basics like that. But what a lot of people won't understand is that's a very complex piece of technology that we've got running in the background to make that happen. But we have to do it to try and keep one step ahead of the criminals. But I think also pushing back zero trust, though, it's really simple for anyone listening onto this. It's have a password manager, have a unique password for everything. Put two-factor authentication across every single device. Buy a YubiKey, and I'm going to show these on here because people know what these are. It's a simple piece of technology. On there, look, it's a little key. You have to swipe across the back of your phone or in your device, and it's just building a zero trust architecture around everything that you do. And particularly around any applications that have got any personal or identified information in there. And that's the way we've got to start thinking, because you wouldn't leave your house without your doors locked, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
So we've got to start thinking of our systems and our data like that.
Yeah.
So next on my list is exceeding customers' expectations, right? And people are like, that's not a piece of technology. What I'm using that for is there's loads of technology out there that actually helps you exceed your customer expectations. We use a piece of technology called, is it CrewWho, I think it is?
Yeah.
Do you want to explain what that does?
Yeah, so we send out a customer satisfaction survey at the end of every ticket. So when the engineers have completed a job, they close the ticket. That ticket sends an email to the client.
You filled a lot of them, haven't you?
I've filled a lot of them in.
Just ask them how satisfied were they with the service. Not only is it good for the guys because they get points back on every good feedback they get, but we also
Explain that a bit more for anyone listening.
so it drives the guys to do top performance. They do anyway, but generally what happens is if we get a good feedback that comes through to me, I can look at the survey, and then based on every good feedback that the engineers get, they get what's called a CrewWho point. Each CrewWho point is technically £1 towards a voucher.
Points being prizes, and there's different ways they can use them. So they can use them for Amazon vouchers. They can use them for one of the anyone to make them a cup of tea for the day. And so we've got all different types of ones. Netflix for subscription for the year. We've got different prizes in there for the lads to work up to what they want, and we use that as an incentive to incentivize the guys to do good customer service. But then also from a customer point of view as well, we also donate a percentage to a chosen charity each month, and for every feedback we get from the customer.
Right,
so depending on we just try and drive that interaction. But around that, what that does for us is it gives us instant feedback. So for example, if it's not at a certain point, that triggers, you see where I'm going with this, process automation. That will fire an email to Dean, and Dean will then get that and he'll go investigate that to understand where's it gone wrong. It normally goes wrong because of comms, normally, doesn't it? But sometimes we do make mistakes. We are human because technology does go wrong. But the whole point of that is when it does go wrong, Dean can get that information and it's our time to shine.
And it's instant.
Yeah, instant. But we're going to see more of that data collection from your customers. And then also exceeding customers' expectations. I've been doing quite a lot of surveys on LinkedIn. If anyone's listening, it's a great way to get information. Just asking, if I had a magic wand and I could give you a piece of training, would it be across certain areas? And this year, what's come back more and more, people want to know how to be more productive and more productive. I've been asking at multiple areas around that and just taking that data to try and understand deeper what our customers need. Then what we've gone and done is gone and built some resources for our customers around that. And that links into technology as well, because being productive, you've got to-do lists, you've got to find information. So we've built a course exactly around them customers' needs. So that would be my big thing. Anything you want to say on that yourself?
No, I've done a few surveys to get information regarding what my clients or what industry would like regarding the training that I deliver. And I think it's great out there to getting feedback, because the only way we're giving our customers what they want and what they need is by asking them and working with them.
I love that. Where we're going next, we're going to go connectivity. So connectivity is huge. And what I mean by that, it used to be, I'll be amazed if you know what this is. Do you know what a UPS is?
No.
So Dean, explain what a UPS is in the old days. We still have them now.
Yeah, just like a big battery. So if, let's say your power at your house was to go off, but you need to still function, you can have what we call UPS. It would take over that energy charge for your house. It'll just supply energy temporarily to your house whilst you get fixed and up and running.
So it used to be when we went into a business and did a disaster recovery plan, making sure that everyone ran on traditional, what we call tin hardware, servers in corners and computers. If a server went down, it's got to be shut down in a set way. It can't just shut down. It's like us when we go to sleep. We've got to get ourselves in the right environment. We've got to slowly shut down. We can't just close our eyes and go to sleep. And it's exactly like that with servers, isn't it? And a UPS was designed to, if there was a power failure or something went wrong with the building's power, it would shut that server down or at least keep it running for a set period of time. And that used to be the big thing that we need to make sure. But now it's connectivity. Yeah, beyond a shadow of a doubt. It is still UPS for companies that still are on traditional infrastructure. But we obviously, in our name, Think Cloud, we're trying to move everyone to the cloud. That's where everyone want to be. So connectivity is absolutely huge. And we've got to be more connected than before. So we've got 5G that's coming out, and it's just changing the way that we work. Anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, no, this is it. Connectivity is key at the minute, especially since the pandemic. We've realised we can just pick up our equipment and go home and work. And I think that's what, especially clients we've got where they have had challenges with connectivity. I'm just going to pick up my kit, we're off home, I've got internet there, I'm going to go work. So what we're looking at now for most customers is putting in redundant connectivities so they can make sure, you know, if one connection goes down, they've got a second internet connection or a second connectivity option with another provider, which is, let's say KCOM goes down fully, we've got a fully resilient connection with somebody else. That one kicks in and takes over, which means everybody can carry on working as they were.
And just think of this, So by 2025, it's predicted there's going to be 4.3 billion devices connected. So think of that as cars, watches, smart devices, this camera that's connected. More and more stuff's getting connected. But just to give you an example, most people don't understand the difference between a million and a billion. They just have no comprehension of scale. In terms of days, a million is 11 days and a billion is about 30 years.
Wow.
That's the difference between the two. So when you think of that, what is it, 4.3 million devices, so 4.3 billion devices, that is the magnitude of that just is colossal. So again, back to that prediction is making sure that we have got connectivity, we have got resilience, so we can do more in it.
Because I remember in the last industry where I worked for quite a long while, our server used to go down. Everything was, couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Get orders,
Well,
do email, couldn't do
that's it.
anything until the server was back up and running.
and you look at, if you are delivering around the world, but you generally got a good connection. But if that connection was to dip and or go completely, you're stuck, aren't you?
Yeah.
You can't deliver.
No,
It's your job.
not all.
Next is cloud and edge technologies. And this one, you're already using it. You are, because you're fully in the Google, in the cloud. But when we talk about edge technologies, it's about using the cloud to process massive pieces of data. So when Dean was talking about that automation processes, we're not running that automation on a local machine. We're running it up in the cloud so it can process. We had it quite recently with a customer that had uploaded a lot of files. And how many files was it dumping into the cloud?
They uploaded about 40,000 files.
So now traditionally on a normal, and that's just through a web browser, the way that's working, you get 40,000 files. It's not a problem, it can handle it, but traditionally that would have been your machine in the background trying to handle that and process that. And the more data we're getting and the more devices we're getting connected, all of a sudden we're able to have more power on our devices because the device start taking the resource up. That makes sense?
Yep.
Also, the next where we're going to have next-gen computing and biometrics. And what I mean by that is, biometrics are already seen on our phones with your fingerprints, your retina scanners, but the new Apple Watches, for example, they can check not only your heart rate now, but they can also check your blood oxygen. The big one that's just been done as well is for people who have diabetes. So traditionally, you used to always have to...
Yeah, prick your finger.
Yeah. Now you can get a special device that's a wearable and it understands your blood sugar live. So biometrics are going to be absolutely huge. And I see biometrics being even a bigger use within security as well, like we're using. So that's next on there. And then number 8, I'm going to go into future programming. And you might be going, what is it about future? Future programming, because we've got AI that can... AI helps me write scripts, helps me write stories, helps me do all different things. AI can now write computer code. So what that means is we're already seeing it in Excel's doing it, Google Sheets is doing it, where traditionally you'd have an Excel formula. Do you know what an Excel formula is?
Yes.
Go on. What's an Excel formula?
So an Excel formula, it adds or multiplies anything that you want within. It adds things up for you, doesn't it? Or divides or whatever. It just gives you a, what is it?
Sum.
Yeah, it gives you a sum at the end of it.
Yeah, so a formula.
Yeah, it's a formula. You can add all things up and it'll give you the sum at the end.
And you can even do other things, like you might have a list of, someone might fill a form in and they might put a first name and a last name in.
Yeah.
And then you can use a formula to say, actually, merge them two fields together and give it a space. You can make it do lookups on that data and say, people from this postcode do that. So you can make it do a whole array of different things. But when you think of that a bit, you have something in Excel and in Sheets called a macro. You ever heard of a macro?
I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is.
So I'll try and educate you real quickly. A macro is a load of stamps. Let's say Andy's Man Club.
Yeah.
We get the forms that get filled in at the end of the month. At the end of, not end of every session.
Yeah.
And that's if there's any problems and things going on. So what we can do with that is we can use a macro. That data goes into a back-end database. And we might need it sorted out. So there might be a report, which I think we run. There's a report we run where we need to know how many problems we've got from what clubs in what locations. And looking at it from a visual thing, it's nice to see it from a visual map to see, is there any patterns? Also, is it the same people? Looking for different trends. So that report traditionally would be a manual process that you'd have to click through and go do. What you can do is you can press record macro, and while you're inputting that data into that machine, the machine's recording what you're doing. So the next time you get that data, you just press run macro and it'll run all them steps you did previously. So that's process automation. Make sense?
Yes.
And all of a sudden, that code, like you might not know how to write a formula or write a code because you don't have to do computer programming. You can now use AI and say, I want to do this, and just write it in normal text, and it'll write the computer programming code in the background that you can run.
That's amazing.
So that's the way it's going to be going. And what that allows, though, is, and why this technology is there, we haven't got enough computer programmers in the world to help us achieve what we need to do. And so all of a sudden, if companies and anyone listening to this, it gives you the opportunity to start solving your business problems without the technical skills that you would have once needed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That's great, yeah.
So that's where it's going. Next, number 9, outsourcing non-core competencies. And what I mean by that is, so you do it yourself, right? You're a small business, you're growing, but have you built a website yourself?
No.
Why?
Just don't know how to do it.
So what was the easiest thing for you to do?
I paid to get one done.
Exactly. You got same with your IT support
Yeah.
and the other bits, right? But companies are coming to you and outsourcing mental health first aid and training courses, aren't they?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they don't know how to do it, because they haven't been trained.
So what I see as a massive trend is the ability for companies to outsource non-core skills that they've got, but also I'm going to challenge them on using technology in different ways. So there's different ways you can do it. We're using it. We've got an outsourced marketing company who's doing some stuff for us. When I say marketing, doing creative work, because I spend a lot of my time doing a lot of the creative visuals. So we can outsource that. We're using technology so that we can communicate and we can collaborate. We use a product like, have you heard of Loom? I don't know if you've heard. You've
Yes.
Loom, yeah, Loom.
Yep.
But what is Loom? It's a video platform, isn't it?
Video platform that you can put yourself into the presentation and record it, and it could create a course.
So things like that, you're able to then better communicate with these agencies as well. So you're not just sending it through email, things like that. So
Yep.
outsourcing is going to be absolutely huge. And then last on my list of my 10 things is increasing digital adoption. Now, it technically should be first on my list, really. But what I'm saying on that is, we're saying that, Ding, 'cause I can see you nodding.
I guess we're just saying we need to adopt and use technology in the right way. Use it to its advantages and work smarter with technology.
Not be scared of it, embrace it, and also make it safe for our staff to use this technology, make it safe for people to play with that technology, because we're not going to innovate and iterate if we don't know. So it's like us today, we're recording this podcast, I'm using some new technology in the background, I'm just playing with it because if I don't, I won't know. And I was using some technology the other day, I was creating some videos, wasn't I?
Yep.
And I asked you for some feedback, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
What did you say?
Just needs to be a little bit sharper, but it was really good.
On the
text.
on the captions,
Yeah.
right? And it took me ages to get this done. But I went away, did it. But then just by him challenging me, I found a little automation, a little piece of software that does that all the time for me.
And it looked chalk and cheese, didn't
Chalk and cheese, right?
Yeah.
So my challenge is we've got to make it safe for not only our staff, but ourselves to play with technology and iterate. Because if we can play and we can iterate, that's how we build that skill. It's no different to learning how to walk. We've got to fall over. We've got to hurt ourselves, and we've got to get picked back up. So that is my sort of top tips. Anyone want to add anything on them? Anything?
No, I think it's great. And like you said about being frightened about tech, I was probably frightened about tech 14 months ago. But because I embraced it, I know I haven't got a lot of knowledge, but I reckon because sometimes you say you haven't got a lot of knowledge, but you pick it up, and when it becomes second nature, you've learned it, haven't you? And you're doing it, and it's just the norm.
Perhaps that giant, what we'd say is you become unconsciously competent.
Yeah.
And it's only when you've got to document it and write it down, you realise, actually, I need to become consciously competent. And that can be a bit of a challenge at first, can't it? Because you just do it.
Yeah, I think if we're just looking at breaking that list down, look at where you first started with technology to like where you are now. If we was to go through that list where...
Using all of them.
Yeah, exactly. You're creating content using AI. You know, you've developed courses, you present courses around the world, all using technology. You've gone through that full list, not even knowing.
Yeah.
So you're
It's
actually
classic,
our
isn't it?
technology expert on this podcast.
Am I?
You are, yeah.
Yeah, but the key comes out, doesn't it? In
I'm the
terms
guinea
of,
pig.
no, but the key comes from other ways, doesn't it? In terms of it's just testament to what was like doing it. In terms of we help each other, don't we? We support each other.
Yeah.
And we're experts in our own respective fields.
Our old fields, yeah.
And we keep iterating and keep testing and keep going again. So that's my top tips. I'll run through them again. So number 1, AI. We're going to start using that. Number 2, process automation. Number 3, zero trust. We've got to look to exceed our customer expectations. Got a great podcast coming out in the new year on that as well, haven't we? Connectivity. Start using the cloud. Get off these bloody servers, haven't we? And start using it. Next gen computing and biometrics. That's coming. You know how that's going to be used with your wearable devices. We've got Google Glasses coming out soon as well. We'll talk about that next year. Future of programming is going to be changing. Outsourcing non-core competencies. I can't even say the word. And increasing digital adoption. That's my top 10. And also I've got we've got a little booklet coming out on this. I've got some more tips and tricks exactly on that, which you can head over to our website, www.think-cloud.co.uk, and download the 10 trends today. So that's me checking out. I've had enough. It's been a great year, hasn't it?
Massive, great year. Yeah, Paul checking out.
That's Dean checking out.
Welcome to The Hack, the straight-talking smart tech podcast where we discuss the ever-changing world we live in today. It's time to start thinking differently. So tune in and buckle up for some home truths as Hull and East Yorkshire's very own digital tech experts talk transformation and change, focusing on people, process and technology.